Mi nombre es Freddy Romero, soy director ejecutivo de Colombo American Foundation, más conocida como Coamfo. Somos una organización no gubernamental ubicada en Carolina del Norte y nuestros programas de acción están orientados a apoyar y fomentar el intercambio de experiencias educativas y culturales entre Estados Unidos y Colombia. Para el presente evento tenemos la fortuna de contar con la colaboración del señor Jeff Crisco, sheriff del Condado Stanley en Carolina del Norte. El sheriff Jeff Crisco cuenta con una amplia experiencia en la lucha contra el crimen, procesos de seguridad y cumplimiento de la ley que lo han llevado a desempeñarse en roles tan interesantes como el Servicio Secreto de los Estados Unidos, estar a cargo de la seguridad de diversas personas de interés y de tropas del Ejército de los Estados Unidos a nivel local y en otros países. Actualmente, él se desempeña como sheriff del Condado Stanley, a donde llegó por votación en las últimas elecciones populares. Esta entrevista se realiza gracias al convenio entre la Universidad la Gran Colombia, INTERCENTER Colombia y Coamfo. Nuestro evento cuenta con dos sesiones principales. La primera sesión es esta entrevista pregrabada que tendrá un documento adicional para facilitar la contextualización cultural y geográfica de esta información. La segunda sesión nos brindará la oportunidad de tener en vivo al sheriff Jeff Crisco para responder las preguntas que ustedes tengan una vez hayan terminado la entrevista. INTERCENTER Colombia les dará a conocer la fecha y hora de esta videoconferencia en vivo para interactuar con el sheriff Jeff Crisco. Sean todos ustedes bienvenidos.
My name is Jeff Crisco. I've been in law enforcement now, I'm going on my 29th year. I have worked everything from just a patrol officer to criminal investigations to narcotics, which I spent a bulk of my career doing. I did take a break and did diplomatic security overseas for the Department of State, where basically we're Secret Service agents. We just provide close personal security for diplomats in high threat areas. I came to work for a sheriff's office, and pretty much was asked about running for sheriff, and I've never in my life thought about doing that, but here I am. I won.
Explain a little bit about the process of running for sheriff here. Yes.
For here, you have Republican candidates, Democrat, and then you can do unaffiliated. I ran on a Republican ticket. What we have to do if you have an opponent in a primary, you have to have a primary election. Say you and I are running on a Republican ticket. For me, it's just going out, meeting the public, being in the public's eye, going to community events, and then at some point, different organizations will have you and I do a debate. We'll talk about different topics, my ideas versus your ideas. And then come election day, people vote for either you or I. If I win the primary, then I go to the general election, which is always held in November. And then at that point, a Republican will run against a Democrat and or an unaffiliated, because they'll always run in the general election. So for here, it's very time consuming. It's basically, if you're running for the first time, you're out just about every day.
Shaking a lot of hands.
Shaking a lot of hands, that's exactly right. But the good side is, and I've been in law enforcement for a long time, and I knew a lot of people in this county and surrounding, but running for a public office such as sheriff, I got to meet a lot more of the citizens in this county and had a wonderful time. I thought I've had a wonderful career and an exciting career, but I love what I do now. It's a whole different experience. So I'm not a politician by any means. Right is right and wrong's wrong. I don't care, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, it does not matter. If you're in the wrong, you're going to be charged. That's my philosophy, that's my morals, that's the way I was brought up.
Tell us a little bit about the mission of the Sheriff's Department.
The sheriff's office has, we have several different things. First and foremost, it is to provide the most professional service we can for the citizens of our county. Everything from a barking dog complaint to, worst case scenario, homicide. We cover it all. For us, we have the sheriff's office itself, which composes of road deputies, administration. You have criminal investigations, which they handle most of your home break-ins, your businesses. We do homicides, rapes, child abuse. But then we also have the courthouse division, because the sheriff is statutorily required to assume courtroom proceedings. So we have courthouse security, and then we also have the jail. There again, statutorily, I'm required. I've got the jail. And that's a whole nother issue.
Yes, it can be.
Yes, it can.
What's the difference between the city police department and the sheriff's department?
Well, for the city, the biggest thing is they are not statutorily authorized to serve civil process papers, such as evictions, where you go in and evict somebody from their home. And there's other, like writs, where you can actually go take possession of people's personal property. They forget to make their car payments. We can go with the court proceeding or court documents. We can go obtain those vehicles. That's the biggest difference between police departments and sheriff's office. Other than, we have the jail and the courthouse. But as far as out on the road, we do the exact same job that a city police officer does. We are out here answering calls for service. We're trying to be a deterrent in in different areas of the community. We get complaints of break-ins, then we're going to focus that area and be visible, be seen. The city does the exact same thing.
Can the city go out into the county?
No, sir. No, the city.
Can the county go into the city?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's the other big difference. We have countywide jurisdiction. We do not necessarily try to go into the cities, and for us, we have 9. We do not try to go in and take over anything that they're doing. We are here to assist them.
Right.
If they request it, we will be here 24/7 to help them. As far as Albemarle, which is the county seat, the biggest police department, they're pretty self-sufficient. They take care of their own, or in homicides, they'll call the State Bureau of Investigation to come help them, and as we do too. But for the most part, they are self-sufficient. The other municipalities, they're undermanned, and we'll help them. That's one of our biggest focuses.
You get your money from where?
Our money basically comes from the state. All the county government, whether it's city or county, all the proceeds comes from the state, which is when you pay your taxes, all that comes in. And the county, which I have learned this now, the county gets X amount of dollars. The county manager says, okay, sheriff, you have X amount of dollars to work with. You make it work. Mm-hmm. And thus far, we have a very great working relationship with the county manager. If we go over a little, he's fine with it. He understands, especially with the jail. There's certain things like medical expenses. If we have to put someone in safekeeping in Raleigh due to whether it's medical or if they're just that violent, those are expenses you can never budget for.
Right.
So the jail pretty much always runs over. But as far as budgeting out on the road, we're given a budget. You know what your dollar amount is, and you have to make it work.
Okay, that's kind of how you determine how many people you can have on staff. And
yes, the county, we can always ask for more personnel. I always try to ask for more. But the county manager and the county commissioners, they set that number of personnel that I can have. I don't have an option on that.
What about technology for your vehicles and, what you're using?
Technology's come a long way. Currently, the vehicle for our fleet is primarily the Dodge Chargers, and we get those on a state contract through Raleigh, which all agencies through North Carolina.
Body cams, anything like that?
Now, body cams, the sheriff's office did not have, and we are getting body cameras now. They had in-car cameras, but they did not have body cameras. Everybody has their own laptop computers that are inside the cars. They do all their reports, tickets, everything. It's all, when they pull into the parking lot, there's no more printing them off. They go straight to a server, and we can look at them from our computers here.
What about non-lethal type of restraints or force or whatever?
We still carry pepper spray, and we have tasers.
Okay.
But then now the SWAT team, they have the gas, they have the beanbag rounds. They have more options than the road.
What about narcotic investigations? How is that handled?
Right now, our narcotics team, they will do everything from the old school way of basically going out and just doing good old surveillance to using confidential informants, cooperating witnesses. We also rely on surrounding counties. We work together because so much comes across county lines. Here lately, we've been working a lot with Davidson and Randolph County and Cabarrus County.
Okay. What about how do you feel about the local impact of narcotics in this county?
Right now, currently, the drug of choice still is meth, crystal meth, and then at one time it was heroin, but it's transitioned to where everybody wants just straight up fentanyl now.
Golly.
Yeah. We've had recently, they are lacing cocaine. Cocaine is actually making a comeback right now, which just like heroin. Heroin used to be a 70s drug.
Right.
It started making a comeback in the late 2000s, and it's really gotten big in our area. It generally takes a while before it gets to us in the smaller cities than it does the major metropolitan areas. But for us, it's still heroin, fentanyl. They're actually lacing fentanyl with cocaine now.
So dangerous.
It is. It is.
What about cartels? Do you have any interaction? You find cartels are involved in the drug business here, or?
It's for our area right here in Stanley County. To sit here and say they're not here, I'd be lying. We know they're here, but are they very active? No, they don't really draw. They do not want the attention. So we basically, lack of better term, sleeper cells. They still conduct business. It's just they're not prominent. Most of our drugs come from the south up through Atlanta to here, the Greensboro, Winston-Salem area. A lot of our stuff comes from that way. It doesn't come as close as we are to Charlotte. It doesn't come out of Charlotte.
Does the sheriff department have any kind of agreements with other, like Colombia or any other states, countries, or do you ever work with another country in your area?
As small as we are, no. But what we do try to work with, we work with all federal agencies. The ones we primarily work with here are DEA, ATF, and HSI.
Explain what those terms are.
Okay, DEA is Drug Enforcement Administration. ATF is Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. And then HSI is the old Homeland Security. Homeland Security is, instead of just being border security, passports and things of that nature, they've kind of broadened their scope. They're getting more into the drugs side of it. Firearms, even though they get them, they still, for whatever reason, the U.S. Attorney's Office wants them to run all firearms through alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, the ATF. ATF that is their bread and butter. They do all the firearms traces,
Explosives.
explosives. That is their forte. So that's what they do. But we work with, our main one is DEA. That is who we work with very closely. Since I took office, we have really we went after our local ones, our low levels. We really hit them hard, and we're to the point now where we're dealing more with mid-level and upper-level dealers. So those cases primarily go to the federal system because of the amounts of drugs that we're getting.
Okay. Can you tell us, just off the top of your head, any kind of relevant experiences you've had with regard to dealing with narcotic individuals, or the trafficking or anything else? And I guess that also plays into, I know there's child trafficking and human trafficking. Do you see much of that in this county?
As far as the human trafficking, it's very sporadic, which is very fortunate for our area.
Right.
You see that more in the major metropolitan cities, Charlotte, Raleigh, Greensboro. You see those cases
More money, yeah.
More money,
Yeah.
right. In regards to my interaction as far as the drug dealing, I don't keep tabs on what those guys do. So I'll go back several years before I was the sheriff. I worked a case with the DEA. I won't even say young guy because he's a little bit younger than I, but I had known him from when I worked at the police department. He lived out in the county, and I had some people telling me he was selling crystal meth. So I started an investigation, and it was starting out buying $40, and then I got to where I'd worked up to where we were buying $500 at a time. I contacted the SBI. They came in because we only have so much money
Right.
to spend to be able to buy
Correct.
that amount of drugs. So I called the SBI. We started working together. Then we got it up to where we were buying an ounce at a time or more. Well, once we got it to a different level, then we contacted DEA. And they're out of Greensboro. They came and they helped, and we ended up, that young fella and his wife, we ended up, I think it was 10 ounces of crystal meth.
Wow.
He got 22 years. She got 12 years. And then there just happened to be another fella there at the wrong place at the wrong time, and he got like 2 years. But that was one of the last bigger cases that I worked.
Okay.
And due to his criminal history, yeah, he and his wife, he got 22 years.